Welcome everyone to the Devar Torah of the week, brought to you by Be There Israel and Or Chadash. Today the Devar Torah is on Tazria, Metzora, double Parsha. And we'll start with the name of the Parsha, Tazria, which is usually translated as give birth, but it literally means to give seed. And the verse says, Daber al b'nei Yisrael lemor, Isha ki tazria v'yalda zachar. A woman who gives birth or gives seed and gives birth to a male. And then the Torah goes on to tell us about her state of impurity, how she becomes pure, and the mitzvah of Brit Milah, of circumcision, is repeated. So like everything in the Torah, we can understand it from the simple to the mystical, Pshat, Remez, Drush, and Sod. So here we're going to deal with the larger allegory of what's happening here. So what does it mean? A woman gives birth to a male. So there's a very deep hint here of who this Isha is. A woman gives birth. So in the Parsha of Vayishlach, back in Bereshit, Genesis, so at the end of the Parsha, it tells us about 8 kings that ruled in Edom before there was a king in Israel. And it goes through each of the kings, and it says he ruled and he died. He ruled and he died. He ruled and he died. 7 of them. And the 8th one is the only one whose wife is mentioned, and it doesn't say that he died. So the Zohar sees in this a mystical divine allegory for what's called the breaking of the vessels. Going back to a previous world when the light was too great and the vessels could not hold the light, the vessels shatter. And our world, which is called the world of tikkun, the world of rectification, is made up of the broken vessels of this previous world. So who is this 8th king whose wife is mentioned? And it says he doesn't die. So the Zohar hints that this is the beginning of the world of rectification. And it's symbolized because he's married. All the other kings, it does not mention that they were married. And so the world of rectification is a world of unification, and especially of male and female. So the names of these 2 people, the 8th king and his wife, are Hadar and Mehetavel. The numerical value of these 2 names, Hadar and Mehetavel, equals Isha, equals woman. And so in the mystical writings, this woman here who's giving birth to a male is an allegory of the final redemption. What does it mean that she gives birth to a male? It means that she gives birth to a redemption where there will be no exiles afterwards. How do we see that in the words here? We're told that there are 10 archetypal songs sung through creation. 9 of them have already been sung. We sang one just last week on Shvi Shel Pesach, when we crossed the sea. There have been 9 that have been sung by David, Devorah, Hannah, etc. And the 10th one, we're waiting for Mashiach. The first 9 are all called Shira, in the feminine. The 10th one is called Shiur Chadash. Interesting, because that's for anyone out there who doesn't know, that's where this class is happening is at a synagogue in Jerusalem called Shiur Hadash, but it's in the masculine. So Rav Ginsburg explains a song in the feminine means redemption is given birth to, but it's followed by another exile, and another redemption, and another exile, and another redemption. But in the masculine, because males do not give birth, let's say in the physical sense, so it represents that the redemption that will come with Mashiach will not give birth to any other exiles. That will be it. So this is all hinted to here. Isha ki Tazria v'yalda zachar. A woman who gives birth to a male. But deeper than that, what I said is that the word Tazria actually comes from the word zera, which means seed. And the sages in the Gemara say that when a woman is aroused first, they give birth to a male. And if the man is aroused first, they give birth to the female. This shows us that our sages dealt with everything under the sun. So in Kabbalah and Chassidut, again, we're dealing with this in the allegorical sense. This is what's called the awakening from below, in contrast to what's called the awakening from above. Kabbalah and Chassidut talks about, does the awakening come from above, or do we awaken ourselves from below? And this is called the classic sense of our awakening ourselves from below. As much as we would like to say, God, just bring Mashiach already, really what has to happen is we have to give birth to Mashiach. And so here the allegory is not just on the national sense, it's also on the personal, individual sense. And this is one of the teachings of the Baal Shem Tov, which, if anyone was at what's called Sudat HaMashiach, the Baal Shem inaugurated or initiated a final meal of Pesach called Mashiach Suda, where we express our deep longing for Mashiach to come, for the redemption to come. Because on Pesach there's a heightened awareness and hope that the redemption will come, just like it came the first time during Pesach. And one of his teachings was that every person has a spark of Mashiach in them. And to bring Mashiach, enough people have to awaken their own personal spark of Mashiach until it creates what Rav Ginsburg calls a critical mass of redemptive energy. And then it will be like a snowball effect. That once enough redemptive energy is awakened, it will create a momentum that will give birth to Mashiach. So that is hinted to in the first verse here. And since this is a double parsha, so next week's parsha, the second parsha is Metzora. And I didn't mention that the rest of this week's parsha deals with a disease called tsarat, which we usually translate as leprosy. It's a skin disease, but the rabbis told us it came from spiritual factors. And it's very, very important to understand this is the only disease that the Torah deals with. So we have to understand that general principles of disease are discussed here. And it's highly significant that the one disease the Torah deals with, they say that it's from spiritual factors. And that can be translated into our own lives very, very easy, because even though it's only been in, let's say, the last 20 years that Western medicine has kind of bought into this idea, but it's accepted now that most of the diseases that afflict modern man are caused by life, the way we live our lives, and especially the amount of stress and how we deal with it. And so when the Torah tells us that disease comes from spiritual factors, because if you look at, like as I said, most diseases, they're fueled by very unhealthy lifestyles of not enough exercise, too much fast foods, too much stress, too many chemicals in our bodies, too much caffeine and alcohol and drugs and tobacco. And all of these things, they just compound until there's an imbalance in our body. And we see this in the first description of the disease. It says, Adam ki yeh ba'or b'saro. A man who has in his skin an affliction. And the word for skin, remember, this is a skin disease. Tsarat is a skin disease. And it's spelled Ayin Vav Resh, which is very close to Aleph Vav Resh, which means light. So this reminds us that when Adam and Chava ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, so it says that they were naked and they weren't ashamed. As soon as they ate from the tree, they noticed that they were naked, and then they covered themselves. And then it says that God made for them garments of ore, of skin, Ayin Vav Resh. And we're told that what happened here is symbolically is they exchanged light bodies, ore with an aleph, for ore with an ayin. And that's why this disease is afflicting the skin. And who does it say here? Adam ki yeh ba'or b'saro. Usually it would say ish. The Torah does not use the word Adam very often. And when it does, it's always a hint to the first Adam. So these two things go together, that the imbalance that we create in our bodies comes out in various diseases. And the imbalance that we have in the world needs to be fixed. That's why this world is called the world of rectification, the world of fixing. So we should all have a bracha that we are able to identify our own imbalances. And this is a perfect time, Sfira to Omer. This is exactly the work that we're doing, and every night we combine two Sfirot to try to find a balance. Like this week is all Gevura. But Gevura is not one-dimensional. It's Chesed Sheba Gevura, Gevura Sheba Gevura, Tiferet Sheba Gevura. We're looking for the right balance. And when we find the right balance as individuals, and when Am Yisrael comes into balance, then we'll be able to fix the world. Thanks for watching this Devar Torah. If you like what you heard, which I hope you did, please come to our YouTube station, our website, our Facebook, our blog, our Twitter, and take advantage of a plethora of Torah, of audio classes, videos, poetry, stories, music, word and gematria search. You'll find a lot there, and please share this with your friends. www.thetrugmans.com